Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports. We have with us in the room again Eugene, who is our Eastern European correspondent in the house. Eugene, how are you doing?
Doing great. So for those of you who don't know, I'm helping BWTM Sports with the news from Eastern Europe, basically because all the information that we're given is not being like we're getting is not being translated to English, and all the great fighters that we have currently are not getting attention just because of the language barrier. So I decided to kind of enlighten the rest of the world, the English-speaking world, about what's going on with those fighters. So, and now I'm basically researching everything that is going on in Eastern Europe and boxing there.
Okay, Eugene. For people who want to know a little bit more about you, your background, just let people know who you are.
Uh, well, there's not much to say, but I live in Canada, so that's the thing where I can see, the differences, like in how certain athletes are being covered in media, and I see the difference in mentality, how it affects the athletes. Um, Personally, I started liking boxing about 7 years ago, but it was like the first ones. Um, I think it was Shannon Briggs versus Vitaly Klitschko.
Okay.
Yeah, and since then I got like involved. Oh, we have this fighter, we have Lomachenko, we have Usyk, we have Gvozdyk. I started learning more and more about all the fighters that will come after Klitschko brothers and gonna entertain us. So that's the thing about me.
The good thing about you as well, because you're pretty non-biased, even though we're doing Eastern European boxing news, you're pretty non-biased. You're pretty straight down the middle in terms of good fighters, not so good fighters, and you're quite honest. I've had a few Eastern European supporters in the past that can get very biased, very heated when you mention anything about their fighters.
Golovkin is the best. Well,
I'm
listen, being a
not.
fanatic is just to deprive yourself of sense of reality. So, you're gonna be honest with yourself, and that's gonna only benefit you. You know, you can still root for any guy, just because of nationality or whatever. It just, well, have you courage within yourself to acknowledge the flaws and find balance with it.
Okay, so we'll talk. I do want to hear your take on the weekend's events. I know that you are a regular viewer of BWTM Sports, and often you'll DM me what's going on, your thoughts on things. And I know you followed the Bermain Stavern story. So, is your take on the fight and what happened?
In my thinking, there are mostly like two aspects. One is, of course, ring rust. I think Stivern was out of the ring for too long, and he didn't feel the need. The what is the most important for him to do in a ring with a puncher or something. That is not stand like he was like basically stationary. He was just flicking his head, and that was basically it. Somebody counted that he didn't land a shot in that fight, a single one, not a jab, not anything. And the other thing, I think, all that thing about him when he was saying that, well, Wilder doesn't punch that much, that hard. When he was throwing punches last time, I could see everything, but I was kind of like tied up with ropes. I couldn't do anything. Well, I think that mentality of him is being like, oh, I already know who Wilder is. I'm gonna, go into the ring and just take him down. It took out of him sense of danger that Wilder still has that equalizer that can just overturn everything. So mentality, and when he started talking like that, oh, I'm gonna beat you even like I'm gonna win even if it takes me killing you or something. There was just not there was not a confidence talk. If you hear the Wilder's response, he's smiling, he's I'm gonna stun you, I'm gonna whoop you, and he's smiling, enjoying himself. He's not afraid, he's not trying to prove anything. So I think that got into Bermain's head, and it was not good for him. Some people get sparked by it, got like juiced up and enthusiastic about the fight when something like this happens. But I think Stavern is not that type.
Okay. And in terms of his plans to make a comeback, he talks about potentially fighting again.
Oh, well, I see nothing against it. It's just he needs to reconsider a lot of things. First of all, I don't think that a guy who is 6'2" should be 254. Just no way. The 230, okay, I can get it. Gvozdik, who is a Ukrainian light heavyweight, is 6'2", and he's fighting at 175. Okay, you can make an argument that there's different frame, and some people like to be more stationary rather than fast on feet and whatever. Well, there's still, you can add 20 more pounds, 30 more pounds, but the height is the same, and with difference in frame doesn't give you like, I don't know, 75 pounds difference.
Okay.
So it's not just healthy. He should have took it more seriously. I'm not sure when he was talking about being being comfortable within the weight. Is he being comfortable within making this weight, or if he's being comfortable not making it? Because he's, well, I can still do sparring and not making weight. There's something off my head.
That's interesting you say that. What about Don House? Do you think he's responsible for any of this, the trainer?
I have no idea. See, like Bashir said that, well, the trainer should just say no to that, no to weight, and the trainer should push for a fight even with, basically a bomb or something, because you gotta stay in the ring. That's the thing. I don't see the problem for him getting a guy who is just a journeyman, and fighting for, I don't know, 6, 10 rounds, and then still before Wilder getting some other dude, like because he had a lot of time. He has been a mandatory since what, January?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the problem with that? You don't have to change the lines. You just have a lot of time. Keep doing it, and that will give him time to cut weight gradually, not within like before one fight. So I just think it's really bad planning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tube says, "Good evening, Ingram and Eugene, and we're going to talk about the light heavyweights and the Eastern European fighters. We'll talk about that." Don House talked a very good game on Friday. Perhaps House refused to see the errors in the build-up. Well, Don House talked a brilliant game the first time round, and he talked a very good game a second time round. So I think some questions must be asked of House. What do you think, Eugene?
I think that if the problem is within the trainer, I don't think Bermain will change him that easily. And the thing is, Bermain is kind of like that very loyal guy who can, close his eyes on many very important things and give in professionally in favor of personal things. So that may be an aspect that maybe the problem is within the trainer who doesn't keep him at bay, but he can just come up with it and just accept that idea.
I'd like to see Bashir and Stavern work together. What do you think of that partnership?
I think anyone should work with Bashir at least for some time, like any heavyweight, because he has more than 40 years of experience. I don't think he will find a heavyweight nowadays and say, well, there's nothing I can do with this guy. He's just too good.
Okay, so that might be an idea. We'll see how that pans out. Okay, so we're in to talk about Eastern European boxing. So let's talk. What's the top of the agenda then? Because this is your show. So what's the top of the agenda?
I would like to talk about World Boxing Super Series, but I feel like we should go down the weights. So we start with heavyweights and then go down to cruiserweights and light heavyweights and so on.
Okay, let's do. It's your show. Lead the way, my man. Lead the way.
So Povetkin, um, for those of you who don't know, it's properly spelled with PED front and Vetkin at the end.
Pedvetkin. I say Pedvetkin.
Yeah. He's been fast-tracked into WBO mandatory. So he's fighting Christian Hammer in Russia. I think is this December, I think.
Yep.
And that's gonna guarantee him #1 WBO because Hammer is #1 right now since Fury lost to Parker.
Yep.
So I don't think that Hammer will create a big upset. I just don't see it happening.
Okay, I heard that Povetkin didn't look great in his comeback.
Comeback. Who was it against? I forgot.
Who did he fight in his comeback? He fought somebody before the Hammer fight. He fought somebody else. He didn't look that
Rudenko. Oh, no. That's a different story.
Not the Rudenko fight. The Rudenko fight was who he fought instead of fighting Stavern. Remember?
No, that was Duhaupas. They grabbed him off the seat. Yeah, Duhaupas came there to watch the fight with Povetkin and Stavern. So they're like, oh, you're in the arena. Just we're gonna give you some sneakers. Find some trunks right here around the corner, and you're gonna get in and fight Povetkin. And he got cold. He got knocked out cold in the 6th round, which Wilder didn't do, and that was brutal. He was just bodied. Turned liquid.
Was that the incredible Povetkin or was that Povetkin?
We can only speculate. I have no idea. But the fact is, they did find traces of PED when he was fighting him. Okay, that's exactly why Stavern pulled out.
Well, hold on. What I never understood about that fight, Stavern, the fight got cancelled because Povetkin was caught using PEDs. So he still is allowed to fight on the same night against Duhaupas, another WBC ranked fighter. How was that even allowed?
Ranked. He's not WBC ranked. He's ranked by WBO and IBF. WBC said
or then when he fought Povetkin.
Wait.
He must be ranked WBC because Wilder knocked him out. Stopped him.
Oh, you mean Duhaupas?
Duhaupas, yeah.
Well, it wasn't sanctioned even.
See, the fight wasn't even sanctioned.
Well, how can it be sanctioned if they got him off the seat? Did they call somebody? I don't know. The thing is how they explained it. So they have Russian commission, right?
Yes.
Within itself, because the licensing and whatever. And I just don't see them saying no. You got caught with PEDs. We're gonna figure that out first, and then say whatever. I read on the website, like allboxing.ru, Russian website, that some official from health ministry or sports ministry, something like that. He said, "Oh, there's no problem even if he's not ranked by anyone. He can still fight within Russia for for whoever he wants and how long he wants. They're just gonna make a slaughter fest with him being juiced to like from
To the
toes to the
limit.
bottom to the up.
Up to his
So he
eyeballs.
has no, as long as he's in Russia, he has no problem fighting. I would say this much.
So you've got to ask yourself the question: people like Duhaupas and Mike Perez, those are
Mhm.
both fighters that you've got to ask yourself the question. Well, they both got brutally knocked out, but they got knocked out. Was it again the incredible Povetkin? Was it Povetkin?
Uh, I would go with Pedvedkin.
So
Even though you see, I've heard a story about Mike Perez, which was very, very interesting. Many people have said that he had alcohol issues,
okay,
and basically all that coming to Russia and whatever take such a big toll on him that he was either drinking the night before or something like that and came up hangover or just down something in the locker room. But it's all talk. I have no idea whether that happened, but apparently he took that time out to fight that alcohol addiction.
wow.
So that's what I heard, but I don't like. I haven't talked to anyone in the camp of Paris to be sure that happened, and probably even if I did, they wouldn't admit it. So there's that.
That's interesting. Okay, so Povetkin's going to fight Christian Hammer. Well,
Yeah,
if Povetkin stops Hammer, that means he's a bigger puncher than David Price, and I know Fury kind of stopped him in a kind of funny sort of way. But if Povetkin knocks him out cold, then we've got to ask ourselves some questions again.
yeah. Well, see, even if he does, and he knocks out Christian Hammer first round within 10 seconds, right? Um, the thing that is happening after that, Parker has about a year or so until he fights another mandatory, and he has that year to sell that belt to anyone. Either that be AJ or Wilder.
Wait. Did you say sell that belt?
Well, technically, yeah,
Why did you say sell the belt?
because of the opposition he had so far. He's not trying to make moves within the heavyweight division. He's just holding the belt.
Like he fought Huey Fury, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was mandatory. And he got out of there, I think, saying like no more. Because I think he got pretty close to being to you know to being outpointed.
Okay.
So yeah, the thing is, the other guys are just they're more interesting to fight in general. Even if somehow he wins against those two guys, even though I don't just see it. I think he needs a little bit more defensive skills for that. Uh, he would be rather fighting them because it's a lot of money for one fight, you know. So that fight will happen before Povetkin.
Okay. Okay. So, anybody else that we need to look at in the heavyweight division?
Well, we can talk about a little bit about Serenko and where he will end up at the end of this year.
Yes. What your thoughts? What's the views on Serenko at the moment in terms of back home and what people are saying in Eastern European boxing world? What are they saying about Serenko and the development under James Elibashir?
Well, it's kind of interesting because he had 3 fights and we learned nothing because he stopped them all in one round and whatever, and his opposition was below mediocre.
Okay.
So what everyone is waiting is to get him against someone experienced but not too dangerous, just to see at what he's level at right now
Okay.
and what's to expect from him.
Okay. I
So
think
I think,
I
huh?
think Bashir mentioned who his opponent is.
Oh, I think I looked him up. Yeah, but he looks like a journeyman with like I don't know 50 fights or something.
Okay.
So I don't know. We'll see if the fight goes past four. I don't know.
Okay.
Is it six? Is it 6 round or 4 round fight?
I'm not sure. It could be a six. I could be a 4 round. I don't know how long the fight is. And then you've got just a very quick note on Ruhan Vissa, the other fighter that Bashir is working with as well.
Yeah. Well, Bashir said he's not gonna fast track him,
Yeah.
so we're just gonna just play a waiting game right now.
Did you hear about Serenko sparring with Joe Joyce?
Yeah, I did.
Interesting, eh?
It is interesting, and what is more interesting, whenever I'm hearing about Joe Joyce, for some reason I'm thinking about WSB, I think,
Yes.
and him fighting Usyk, and that
Yeah,
was a exactly different Usyk. I never see him like that.
that's the Usyk. That's what I always stick in my mind when I think about Joe Joyce. I think about Alexander Usyk. That fight, and it doesn't. It don't. I don't seem to leave that fight. No matter what he's done in pro so far, I go back to the Usyk fight.
Yep. I just think it kind of characterizes to me what Usyk would be in heavyweights,
Yep.
but maybe a little bit not as aggressive.
Okay.
Because the thing is, in that fight, he was shaking his right fist next to his face like a rattlesnake, kind of like offering Joyce to trade.
Okay.
I don't think that's the strategy you particularly want against like big punchers like Deontay Wilder. He kind of proved that it's not the way to go. So if he's successful at World Boxing Series, which we're currently now shifting from heavyweights to and cruiserweights, if he's successful at World Boxing Series, then we're gonna see. I hope we're gonna see a little bit of adjustment from him, being more cautious about his style. Because right now, what he does, he comes into the ring and says, "Okay, bring whatever you got. I'll deal with it, and then add some more,"
Yeah.
which is not particularly good thing. Because when you watch Ward, he's saying, "Bring whatever you got. I'll take it away from you, and then I'll add some more." It's
Yes.
kind of like you're not measuring your guns. You're the only one kind of having arms at the room in the
Yeah, I
room.
understand
So
what you're saying. You see, the thing is, yeah. So Ward takes away your best, but Usyk lets you throw your best and then comes back.
yeah, it's like first when he was fighting Hunter, first 4 rounds he was just okay. What do you got? And see. So he will kind of let those 4 rounds go just to figure you out, and I don't think that's a nice strategy.
No, not really. So let's go down to the cruiserweights now. While we're on Usyk, he's got Gassiev next. Your
No,
thoughts?
he's got not Gassiev, he's
No,
got Breed.
Got Breedis, of course. I keep getting the two mixed up. Breedis, he's got Breedis next. What are your thoughts on
Well,
Breedis?
my thoughts are not that much, but I've read Vitaly Klitschko talking about him because Breedis was his sparring partner.
Okay.
And he's saying that um, if he's utilizing all his movement and, all of that good Usyk stuff, not that trading punches, he has all chances to win. But then again, he's saying that was one of the most difficult sparring partners he ever got, and that's Vitaly Klitschko talking. And what is he basically saying? That he can take a punch really good and delivers a quite nasty punch himself,
Yes.
which we
I like
didn't see
Breedis.
in the top. Sorry.
You were going to say something?
Yeah, you were talking about you like Breedis and
Yeah, I like Breedis. I like him heavy. I like him a lot. And I look at what he did to when he went up to heavyweight and he knocked out Manuel Shah. And I loved the way he knocked Manuel Shah out. You know, his back was against the ropes and he threw that shot and knocked Shah out. Brutal. And nobody knocked Manuel Shah out like that.
Yeah, he has some wild cards in his pocket or up his sleeve. And the thing is, we didn't see much in the fight against Paris because he kind of like dragged him into a swamp. You know, he just didn't let him develop anything. It was kind of ugly, but one-sided fight. You know.
We've seen what Breedis does against a southpaw who can punch. So surely that must give him some confidence. And Paris is a good boxer. Does that give him any confidence going in against Usyk, do you think?
I don't think he sees them the same way. Like confidence, well, I don't think it's gonna be a big thing because I don't think he's afraid of Usyk, you know, in the first place.
Yeah.
But I think it's more experience-wise because he went full 12 rounds with Huck and he went full 12 rounds with Paris. Both are extremely experienced fighters.
But one's, you would say, seriously in decline, and the other fighter in Perez looked pretty impressive in his cruiserweight debut, coming from heavyweight.
Well, he did, but still, see, Hook never. Then again, talking about Hook, I'm thinking about Hook who fought Glavatsky and kind of like let his guard down and then just started slipping and slipping.
Mm-hmm.
And then was Huck who was fighting Povetkin.
Exactly.
And, you know, caused a lot of trouble.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think if that was Hook who was fighting Povetkin, both Usyk and Breedis would be in trouble in their fights.
Okay. Tubes asked the question, Eugene, why was Glowacki left out of the WBSS? He beat Cunningham and Huck and only lost to Usyk.
He wasn't left out. He fought undercard as a backup fighter on Breedis' fight.
Okay, but why wasn't he included? Why was Huck more included than him?
I think just the name. You know, Huck kind of had a, you know, it's a well-recognized name, while Glavatsky hadn't been a champion for that long. So they just kind of, you know, chose rather not quality but marketing decision.
Yeah, but Huck got knocked out by Glowacki. So I mean, I would rather have the guy that knocked out Huck rather than the guy that was knocked out.
Well, then people are saying that Huck was outpointing Glavatsky, and that was kind of like a lucky punch or whatever, or just carelessness. So, you know, there are arguments both ways.
Glowacki looked better than the guy that Dortius knocked out.
Kudryashov.
Yeah, he was better than him.
Anyone looks better than him. Now, see, the problem with Kudryashov is a typical
Yes.
like Russian horse, you know, like he's strong, he comes at you, and he's scary, you know. But the problem is when somebody comes back at him, like Duradola did in their fight, you know, the God Power Nigerian.
Yes.
He didn't know what to do because he wasn't used to people coming back at him, and he couldn't work off the back like a back foot. And I think when they fought, because that thing almost happened in their rematch. Like when he started coming at Duradola, he started coming back at him, and they almost had the same thing happening.
Okay.
So I think Dortiko's team, they watched the fight, and they thought, well, this guy cannot take a punch, and we have a guy with extremely long hands and good punch. You know, if he started delivering, which he started doing really early, which was for me a red signal that that's their plan. You know, they're gonna just come at him and he will do nothing. He just hid behind the block, and that was it for it. Took a few punches and just melted.
When he fell on the floor, did you see the amount of memes that are around the world with when he fell on the floor? His eyes were like Curtis Stevens.
Oh yeah, he was like a rag doll. But that's the thing, he has a good punch, and many people just jump on the bandwagon and be like, "Hey, he can pop, let's watch him." And then he faces someone who just has a basic understanding of boxing and can figure him out within a couple of rounds.
So where does his career go from here?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure he will return back to Russia and have a few journeymans for his breakfast, and then they will try again.
I'm
He's
not sure.
definitely.
I'm not sure the term breakfast is acceptable on this channel at the moment. Bearing in mind the last person talks about breakfast.
Well,
They got eaten for breakfast.
yep.
Um.
So
So we
anyway,
so we talked about what about Gassiev? That is
yeah,
a bad man right there.
Gassiev, yeah, he showed us that he can think, he can think in the ring, because what he did, he basically taught who was he fighting again? I forgot. Another Polish guy, Krzysztof. What was he?
Austin.
Wlodarczyk. Wlodarczyk. He was fighting
What was his name?
Wlodarczyk, and he basically taught him that after uppercut, he's throwing a hook,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just came out and landed two uppercuts, and the guy just received that uppercut to the body and couldn't get up. That was it.
Yeah, it was very Golovkin like.
Well, they have the same trainer. I don't think that Abel Sanchez kind of shifts his fighters to what he sees as a proper fighter for him. If he doesn't take like something really good of a fighter and then starts polishing it while tossing out some, not so important stuff or bad stuff, he just wants to make a fighter from scratch. I see him that way.
You see, when I spoke to Abel, he made it quite clear. Actually, by the way, happy birthday, Abel Sanchez. It's his birthday today.
Happy
There you
birthday.
go. Happy birthday. Abel Sanchez made it very clear that he said Gassiev is a work in progress. He also said he hasn't got much time, so he's trying to learn his trade on the job during the competition. So he's trying to fast track Gassiev during sparring and during training. So that's some fast tracking he's doing with Gassiev.
Well, of course, because he has no time. The World Boxing Super Series happened too fast for him. If it happened in a year or two, that would be a different story. But now he has to fast track him.
What are your thoughts on his Gassiev's fight against Doctius?
See again, Torticos already proved that. Or what was it? Torticos or Dorticos?
Doticos. Doticos. Somebody will tell me. Somebody will tell us it's both wrong, but there we go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that he can still surprise us, but at the same time, we haven't seen much of him against like someone who is as dangerous as Gassiev, because Kudryashov wasn't that much in my ranking personally, because I've seen what happens to him in Duradolo fight.
Okay.
And we haven't so far fighters like Usyk or Gassiev. They always have been dictating the condition of the fight.
Yeah.
They have never faced a guy who would say, "No, you're not doing that," and they need now to rearrange themselves and figure out what to do next.
Well, Breeders will provide that for Usyk, and I'm sure that Doctius will give Dorticus. But Sanchez said, in his belief, that Dorticus hasn't been forced back the way that Gassiev will force him back.
Possibly. And I think, well, the Team Dorticas, they will look at his fights and say, well, this guy's coming forward just as Triple G, so we're gonna adjust to that, kind of fighting over back foot, more movement, because well, I don't think he will come out at him the same way he did against Kudryashov. It's just not wise.
Okay. Well, this is a guy that's fought Lebedev as well. So, and Lebedev punches mighty hard as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he can take a punch himself, which says that you cannot just expect, to land one or two punches and expect the fight to be over. You're gonna be ready for a tough night.
If I'm correct, didn't he drop Usyk in the amateurs with a body shot?
Nope, that was Beterbiev in 175. He's fighting Curling for world title, IBF title.
So has he fought Breedis or Gassiev before in the amateurs?
Breedis, no. I think Breedis. I think they met at the training camp, but I might be wrong. I think they have been sparring partners or something like that. But I might be I might mix something up.
What do you make of James Elibashir's thoughts? Uncle said that he should he should put himself out the tournament, Usyk, and move straight up to heavyweight and challenge Parker for the world title or Deontay Wilder.
Well, it would make sense for him to do against Parker, but other than that, he's kind of locked in, I guess, movement, because he has to either fast track himself into unification fights, or I don't know. It's just there is noise about only two guys in the heavyweight division right now, and you gotta be noisy yourself to kind of make a statement.
Right.
If he just comes and outpoints Parker, many people will say, well, who Parker was anyways, just forget about it. So, and of course, any fighter wants to get paid well, so for that he needs to generate noise, and winning World Boxing Super Series is exactly the noise he needs for that.
That's true. So cruiserweight champion goes up to heavyweight. Okay, fair enough. Is there anybody else in the cruiserweights we should be looking at or thinking about, or any news on anybody else?
I think the cruiserweights have an interesting thing happening right now.
Okay.
Which is within the World Boxing Super Series. They always have backup fighters, right?
Right.
But those backup fighters end up winning, and will we see a tournament within tournament? The backup fighters fighting each other, and the best ones are fighting each other. At the end, we will see someone number one contender for the winner.
That'd be interesting.
So yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Or they might drag the lost fighters into backup fighters.
Okay.
Bring Kudryashov back in or Vladarchik. Why not?
What's been the Eastern European view from what you've read in the news? What's been their viewpoint of this Super Series? Has it translated well with them?
Well, everyone is riding the horse they like, So basically, once Kudryashov was out, all Russians switched to Gassiev, and then yay, Team Gassiev. Of course, Ukrainians are kind of laughing and they're like, he's gonna be outpointed by Usyk, and just forget about it, guys. I don't know what's happening with the Breedis. Sorry, I don't speak Lithuanian. It's just not my thing. But okay. Yeah, the general thing is all people agree that Usyk and Gassiev will meet. Oh, sorry, not Lithuanian, Latvian. Sorry.
Yes, Latvian.
So all the people technically agree that Usyk will meet Gassiev at the finals, and then everyone splits. I have heard stories like suggestions that Usyk will meet Dartikas, but never I've seen the story about Briedis being in the finals. For some reason, just people don't believe in him.
I like Breeze. I like him a lot. The thing about Usyk I have a problem with is that he takes punches unnecessarily.
Yeah, like see, it would make sense if he had a stronger punch. It just
Yes.
like take some and give some, and then it kind of takes I don't know, I guess enthusiasm from other fighters to keep training. But with him, he needs combinations. He needs to wear down opponents. He needs to trick them, and that's his stronger side.
Do you think the reason why his punch power is not as effective is because he's not standing and planting his feet and landing shots and rather being on the move all the time?
Maybe, but then again, I just don't think that was something when he was taught in the first place by his trainers and then by Anatoly Lomachenko. I don't think that was the accent of their agenda because he was fighting in the amateurs for so long. You
Right.
know, he was fighting 3-4 round fights, and technically you can't get many knockouts out of that. So why bother? Just concentrate on technique.
Okay. Tubes asked the question, but I'm a bit confused. Usyk could face Lebedev in unification if he beats Breeders and progresses, but I thought Lebedev got beat by Gassiev.
He still has WBA title.
Really? How?
WBA? How?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
How?
The WBA didn't strip him of the title even though he lost.
What? Why was that?
Again, WBA how? I have no idea. They're so biased, like when it comes to different fighters. So, um, uh, Rigondeaux moves 2 divisions up to fight Lomachenko. They're saying if you win, you have 5 days to tell us which weight are you gonna stay in. Are you gonna come back and defend your title, or not? Or we're gonna strip you of your title after 5 days, and even winning. If he beats Lomachenko.
Eugene, I think the WBA deserve a telephone call, don't you think?
I think other sanctioning bodies need to call out their, what is it called, recognition,
Yes.
because the number of their belts, first of regular interims and whatever, and now these things, they're manipulating it. They're breaking their own rules. Okay, if they had rules that were written like that, and many people, well, that's bullshit, but it's within the rules. You know what you sign up when you become a WBA champion. I would understand even that, but then they just apply different standards to different fighters.
I think at some point I'm gonna have to give a call, make a call to the WBA, and see what their problem is, because a call has to get put into them.
Yeah, so Lebedev still has a WBA super title,
Okay.
and I think Tortikas has a regular title. So
Okay.
even if
And Gassiev, I got the IBF, right?
yeah, so if Gassiev wins, he doesn't get the WBA title. The regular title gets terminated, and the winner still needs to of WSS still needs to fight Lebedev for the last title.
Absolutely ridiculous. It's so stupid. Absolutely stupid.
And the IBO title is, I think, who was that? Kevin Larina, I think, grabbed the IBO title.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Eugene, the question is asked. Eugene, is Drodz retired? Would he beat Usyk?
Oh, Drozd?
Yes.
He is retired. I think he has a shoulder injury. He hasn't been like since their fight. He was supposed to fight Makabu in 2015, I think. He he never stepped back in the ring. He got injured and pulled out. That's it. That was the end of it.
Okay.
Every now and then he says that, well, it's still not retired, I'm just figuring out things, but time ticks and he's still not in the ring. So when's he gonna return at 40 years old? So technically we can just say that he hand his gloves.
Okay. But I always pronounce this guy's name wrong. But better, but,
Bitter beef.
okay, beta beef. Let's use that. Beta beef.
Many people just say better beef.
Better beef. I'm not going to say that because if I ever get to meet the young man and I call him better beef, he might not be impressed.
Yeah.
So better beef, because he's got a V at the end of his name. I'm going to say better beef. He's got a fight coming up.
Yeah, against German Enrico Collin.
Okay.
I don't rank Enrico Collin that much, so I think it's gonna end up within like 6 rounds or something.
Okay.
The thing about Better Beef, he's really hard puncher, and plus he has a good amateur career, really good amateur career. He's technically sound.
People are it's somebody suggests a better be Eve. Okay, better Bev. I'm gonna go better Bev. Call him Berbatov. Somebody said call him Berbatov. No, I'll really get in trouble there. We'll leave that for Bo of truth and facts of boxing. Let him ruin everybody's name. I'm not going to get into that and ruin people's names.
Yeah.
Is beefing with his promoter? He is indeed. He was beefing with his promoter. So yeah, he is inactive, but I think his inactivity is to do with promotional issues, from what I understand.
Yeah, so he signed up with Yvonne Michel, which is the same promoter with Adonis Stevenson.
Well, it's the same promoter that Bermain had, and he got rid of him.
Yep. And surprise, surprise, Better Beef was aiming for WBC, and that fight just couldn't happen.
Okay.
You know, because his promoter technically always kept him at bay until Adonis Stevenson retires, and he needs another cash cow or something.
Okay.
That's my taking from this.
Well, while we're at it, you talk about Adonis Stevenson. Did you manage to listen to the interview I did with Jolene Mazzone from Main Events?
No, I didn't. Like I wanted, but then it just kind of slipped under my radar, and I never did.
She basically called Adonis Stevenson a disgrace, but since then he's gone, and now he's going to be fighting Badu Jack, I understand, in January.
Yeah, and Eloider Alvarez is still sitting on his ass, still being mandatory for like fifth fight. I don't know. He's taking all that step aside money. We'll see what's gonna happen this time, because if Adonis Stevenson doesn't settle things with him, WBC needs to strip him.
But he's got Badu Jack. He might not get past Badu Jack.
Well, it doesn't matter if WBC doesn't sanction the fight as for their belt, you know. So he needs to settle that thing, and then he can he can fight Badu Jack and not go past him. But at the same time, Badu Jack only interested in him because he has WBC belt.
Yes, I understand that. Okay.
So
Anybody else?
Kovalev.
Yes, Kovalev. Yeah, he fights this week. He fights. Is it this weekend he fights?
Yeah. November 11th.
For the WBO light heavyweight championship of the world.
After 2 losses.
Yes, back to the future, right?
Yeah. So for some weird reason, he's fighting Vyacheslav Shabransky, another Ukrainian fighter, for WBO vacant title. But the biggest problem that I have with that is that Shabransky is like number 11 in WBO or something. Okay. So is it really a material for a vacant title, you know, for a title fight in general?
Well, you know, they need to get Kovalev back as world champion. So the Crusher, there's gonna be so many questions about the Crusher. Well, we know what happens when he meets resistance. So
listen, I don't have any questions about the Crusher anymore. You know, because the thing was, so the first fight, okay, many people say that Ward, son of judges, and whatever. Okay, okay, well, one it was one round, went to Ward, and that's how he won. Well, so they had a rematch, which was really ugly. Like I couldn't stand watching those pressers because the amount of disrespect and like general hate Kovalev had for Ward, who technically done nothing. If you're gonna hate somebody, just hate the judges or whatever. It kind of told about his insecurity, you know, because he got so frustrated with Ward the first time around, and then he was talking about how Ward slaps like a woman, and kind of can do nothing against him, and he just was under, or no, he was overtrained. So it was okay. So I just don't want to hear it. Come out and prove us wrong. Okay, no problem. So he comes out and the Ward slaps him like a woman and knocks him out.
He says he didn't feel the punch. No punches. He didn't feel no punches.
Yeah, well, they're saying that that was low blows, but only one punch I could count like a borderline.
The one,
Those were body shots.
the right hand on the chin was pretty low, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe his autonomy is different, and that was the low blow.
The low blow was because he got hit in the chin. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Don't hit me in the chin. I don't like getting hit on the chin. That's not nice.
Yeah, and after that fight, he was saying, well, it's too, after the second one, when he lost, he says, like, no, it's just too difficult for me to make 175 pounds. I don't feel comfortable. I start, like, the last, like, 7 pounds or something. I just feel uneasy. And now he has a rematch in 175. So what happened? Well, another rematch. He has another fight in which Shabransky at 175. Isn't that uncomfortable? Why don't you move at cruiserweight?
Have you seen the killers at cruiserweight? Really? If you're getting hurt by Andre Ward, who hits like a woman, imagine him getting hit by Gassiev, or him getting hit by Doctius, or getting hit by Bredis. I mean, really? Really?
Well, then we'll redefine why he's Crusher. Yeah, well.
So what's the feeling back at home for him? What do people feel about him in Russia now?
Well, many people got upset, of course, after the second fight. They still called a lot of bullshit on that and being like, oh, it was low blows. It doesn't count and whatever. Your knockout is not a knockout. But the thing is, it's fanatics. They're just talking and they just want to believe what they want to believe.
Oh dear.
So they will support him regardless. And many people being quite reasonable. They said, well, why are you being so frustrated? He had a good strike. He beat a lot of people and collected a lot of belts and, earned a living. So he's a successful athlete in general. I don't see a problem.
Exactly. Tubes asked the question, was Umar Salamov defeat to Damian Hooper a massive shock in Russia?
Umar Salamov defeated who?
Damian Hooper. Damian Hooper got beat by... Damian Hooper beat Umar Salamov.
I have not heard anything of it. Even in the news. Like, I'm reading every day and there was something new.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have to come back to that. We're at super middle, light heavy. Anybody else light heavy we need to look out?
Well, Gvozdik, Ukrainian light heavyweight, he's WBC ordered him to fight, or is it Marcus Brown?
Yes.
American.
Yes.
For like second mandatory. They still cannot figure out how to stuff Alvarez into the ring with Stevenson, and now they're ordering a second mandatory.
So okay, who do you think wins the fight between him and Marcus Brown?
It depends on style of the fight, I would say. Marcus Brown is a hard puncher. He fights quite well, but we will see because styles make difference.
Yeah,
I was really worried about him fighting. Gvozdyk fighting Barrera because Barrera, he showed himself against what was it? Was it Thomas Williams?
Joe
Who
Smith.
was Joe Smith? Yeah, he fought Joe Smith, and like everyone was like, "Oh, Joe Smith cracks you so hard." He tossed B
Hopkins
Hop
out the
out
ring.
of the B Hop out of through the ropes. So he's
By the
gonna
way,
fall through the light heavyweight division.
I was looking back at Hopkins' career. It's not the first time Hopkins has been knocked through the ropes. By the way.
Well, it's okay. But the thing is, many people just bought in that idea, of him being such a heavy puncher. So Barrera has no chance
Chance.
whatsoever. And to be honest, Barrera has a little bit of carelessness. He gets dropped pretty frequently, I would say. But then he gets back again and readjusts, goes more fluid. And that's where the problems for his opponent begin.
He's probably one of these guys you have to hit hard to wake up.
Yeah, or maybe hit hard and capitalize on that because before he wake up.
Yeah, that's quite true. Would be advisable. People want to know about Bivol at light
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah, so all the world belts went flying. Now Bevo and Beterbiev, they will. I think Bevo targeting Kovalev though. I just
Okay.
think he will go after him because many people already know what the weak sides of Kovalev are. But Beterbiev is kind of like he hasn't shown himself being vulnerable yet.
Okay.
So I think, though I heard that Bevo will first target Barrera. I heard that.
Okay, that'd be
So that
interesting.
might be, yeah, will be an interesting fight if that happens. But then I don't see Bevo sitting back. I think he will push for unification with whoever.
Okay, fair enough. Is there anybody else we need to look at Eastern European in the light heavy division?
I No, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Okay, down to super middle. Anybody at super middle?
No, nobody has. No, there are, but there still haven't been that loud. I say.
Okay, let's go down to middleweight. Of course, the first guy we talk about there, Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah, the best fighter in the world. He, well, Gennady Golovkin, he still needs to figure out things with Alvarez
Mm-hmm.
because what I feel about Gennady Golovkin is that he brings big drama show and he cannot leave it. You know, he has to perform to more surprise or kind of entertain the audience rather than to perform to quality.
Right.
Even Lomachenko, it's a funny thing because whenever you ask Eastern European fighters on public, like what do they think of a fight or of a fighter, they're always so nice and all that, together, like we're coming from the same place and we like each other. But then I watched Lomachenko's video where he was training back at home in Ukraine, uh, in his hometown, and he was asked the question, "Did you watch Gennady Golovkin versus Alvarez fight?" And he was like, "Yeah, I watched it, and it was terrible. Like Golovkin, he looked completely like he he wasn't inventive. I would say he was coming with the same combination. That's his words, and
He's
that's
very
what he was
predictable.
doing the same thing for the whole night. And of course, he wouldn't get a win. So, and many people were giving Lomachenko a lot of flack because he was going out against Golovkin, who is from Eastern Europe. By the way, he's not. He's from Middle Asia.
He's from
But
where?
yeah, Middle Asia, Kazakhstan.
Middle Asia.
Yeah.
So why do people think he's from Eastern Europe then?
Well, because Eastern Bloc, post-Soviet kind of group of countries. Kazakhstan was in the USSR. Ukraine was in the USSR, Russia. So that's why he gets lumped up all together. And because his dad is Russian, his mom is Korean, I think. It's funny. It's like and he's from Kazakhstan.
Yeah. So he's mixed, Golovkin.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet some of his fans don't even know that.
No, I faced that information a lot in the internet.
It probably is, but people probably don't look at that. They probably just think it was like he's really tough guy from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. And guys from people from Kazakhstan absolutely love him. They don't care. It's like he's from Kazakhstan. He walks out in a robe, like traditional one, and that's all they need. It's our guy.
Um, I've heard different people say different things about this rematch. Some people say that this time that Canelo will stop Golovkin because that last fight took a lot out of Golovkin, and you can't keep taking punches like that. There are others that think, well, on the rematch, Golovkin will stop Canelo. What do you think?
Um, there is sense in both statements because the thing about tanking punches like that, taking them on your face and just shaking your head and saying, nah, doesn't count. It may not count right now, but the thing is, all the blood vessels, they pop in your head. And at some point, your chin was good, it was good, and then it's not. So it might take a lot of him, but I haven't seen. I know I haven't seen something that would say it did. You know.
Okay.
And the other thing, I think he needs to, of course, come to this fight more, I guess, fluid to make adjustment in the fight, not try the same combination, hoping for a big knockout or whatever.
So him to be less predictable.
Yeah, I guess. And after all, I don't think that Abel Sanchez cannot do that. They're just gonna think twice about it.
But can Golovkin change at this age?
I think he has the tools. Like he has everything. Like he doesn't have to change. He just needs to use it. Kind of like drop that show thing and more of boxing thing. Because right now he's caught within his own character.
Okay. Now here is a name. Will bear with me. Derevyarenko. Derevyarenko.
You're talking about Derevyanchenko?
Bloody hell, yeah, you say that.
Yeah, Sergei Derevyanchenko. He's the mandatory.
Let's get that. Can you say that to me? So I want to learn how to say that name because I like that name, but I don't know how to say it. Now teach me.
Sergei.
Who?
Sergei
Sergey, yeah.
Derevyanchenko.
Derevyanchenko.
Well,
Dera
Vyanchenko.
Vyanchenko.
Yeah,
Derevyanchenko.
yeah, that's right.
Yes. At least I'm trying. At least I'm trying. Thank
Yeah.
God I'm not. Listen,
If
if
you
I
fail
ever have
once,
to do
try
live,
again.
if I ever have to do live commentary with that guy, I'm just gonna say, yeah, he's fighting. That guy in the red corner is fighting the guy in the blue corner tonight. And
Well,
he
he
looks
has
very good.
Ali as the technician, so you can you can go by that.
I just go, yeah, I'll just go with his first name, Sergey. That'd be good. Hello,
Yeah,
Sergey. Goodbye,
so
Sergey.
he's the mandatory.
Okay.
I just don't remember by what sanctioning body. I think it's WBA, but I'm
WBA.
not
Okay.
sure. I
Yeah.
think so, but I'm pretty sure that he's the mandatory. So whoever wins, be it Canelo or Triple G,
Yep.
yeah, they will have to face him, and he has been pretty good so far.
You're gonna have to give me some Eastern European lessons for free.
Okay.
You're gonna get
Well, it
speak.
depends which language, because Eastern Europe is a big place.
I know, but we'll just use the ones that you know.
It will be two.
Okay, so which two do you know?
I'm speaking Ukrainian and Russian.
Well, okay then. So then we'll just call him Derek. Somebody said just call him Derek.
It's fine, Derek.
It's all well and good you be buying a keyboard, say just call him Derek, but there's possibility these guys I may meet one day. All right, Derek, how you doing? That's not my name. I said, okay, no problems. Okay, call me by
Well,
my name now.
it's like someone was having trouble saying the full like Vasil Lomachenko,
Yes,
so they shortened it down to Vasiloma,
yes.
and then said that it sounds like some disease, and said never call him that again. So yeah, that was dropped pretty fast.
This going off topic slightly. The notorious one, Conor McGregor. No, I'm not going to talk about his rematch. I'm going to talk about, and nobody really talks about it. The video when Kovalev comes face to face with Conor McGregor at a big boxing bout, and Conor McGregor's wearing his fur coat, and he's giving it large until he meets Kovalev, and Kovalev puts his hand in his face and starts talking to him, and McGregor looks like a little boy. Have you seen that video?
Well, I haven't seen it, but what is so surprising, McGregor is 5'9", I think.
He's
He's not a tall guy. He's fighting at 155 or something in UFC.
I heard some story that him and Mayweather are going to fight again.
Why?
I don't know, but I heard that Mayweather and him are going to. Why? They made a lot of money. Why not make the money again?
Well, it would make sense if he came close in the first fight. It doesn't make sense at his performance. He came out and just showed that he doesn't have the same level as Mayweather, which
Imagine
is
that.
fair to him. Nobody has the same level as Mayweather, so
Imagine you have a record now, 0-1, and now you're going to be 0-2 in boxing. Could you imagine that?
yeah. No, the funniest part about that fight was not even the fight in like 0 to 0-0 fighter. It was the fight that Marisa Suleiman put up a money belt on the line. So now Mayweather is a money champion.
I think the funniest thing about the fight was actually the training that McGregor came out with. That's probably the highlight of all of that was the training.
Oh, Mayweather challenge?
You know, the Mayweather, no, the
Oh, McGregor challenge when he was slapping himself in the back. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. In others, I think in East Asia they have like in Kung Fu a certain style when you fight like a drunk man
yeah.
to kind of freak out your opponent when he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, that's about that.
I'd like to see McGregor versus Golovkin.
Why? He'll get brutalized.
Well, there'll be people that say if he lands that left hand.
Oh yeah, of course. No,
And
it just doesn't. It just won't
listen,
happen.
there are people that will believe that Mayweather got lucky and the rematch could happen, and it can happen that McGregor can do it. So hey,
You want me to tell the story who got lucky?
tell me the story.
Me and my friends were watching the pay-per-view. Right?
Yeah.
So my friend, he paid his $100 for that pay-per-view.
Okay.
McGregor versus Mayweather, and because we had certain uh, technical issues, they returned us the money. So, and they had like on the first fight of the undercard, they had technical issues, and many people complained, so they returned the money to many people. So we got lucky. We watched that piece of a fight, and then we got our money back.
So it was the money fight for you guys.
Yeah, like in HD, everything neat and nice,
Okay, let's talk about a serious fighter, Lomachenko.
Yeah. Well, serious in the ring. Whenever he's out of the ring, he never seems serious to me.
Well, I'll tell you something.
He
If
what?
he gets beat by Rigondeaux, he's finished. You know that.
Yeah, it's like he has been set up on a such high level that dropping from it will be just too devastating. Well, it's not even his fault. You see, many people put in a lot of trust in him, which I'm fine with, but at the same time, his level of opposition so far has been lower than his level. You know, I want to see someone. Um, he can fight Burchelt, I think. I think Burchelt can put a lot of pressure. You know, he's not the guy who gonna be bullied.
Okay.
I don't think rematch with Salido has any sense. I think Salido at this point will not do him any harm.
Okay.
But yeah, so Lomachenko, whenever he talks, you know, he talks about his opponents like Rigondeaux. He was saying, uh, what did he call him? Ah, he called him something like fried bacon or something because he's so small, you know, and shrinked.
Yeah.
He's like, what he's gonna do? He's you know, jumping up and down and claiming that he's so important. I'm just gonna run over him, and I don't like to hear that talk because it does nothing. It improves nothing. Okay, you already agreed to fight this guy because it means there is market value in that, you know. So you're gonna take it more seriously. I'm pretty sure he takes the camp serious, but at the same time, when you have a little bit of that in your head that somebody is not quite a match for you, it can play a quite quite evil joke on you.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know that's got to do anything to do with his manager? Because his manager's got a lot to say for himself. Well, I'm not a big fan of.
Well, it's a good that he's his manager, not his promoter, because managers he just takes he's like a, I don't know, he's like a courier or delivery guy, you know. He comes from the promoter and talks to the fighter, and they agree on something. He goes back and does something for him. So the main guys who are like making fights happen are Lomachenko and
Yeah.
Bob Arum.
Uh-huh.
And since what is funny actually with Bob Arum and everything is that WBO sounds more like top rank belt. Haven't you noticed that most of, if not every, but most of top rank fighters have WBO belts?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Pacquiao, Bradley, Vargas, what's this guy? Horn.
Um,
Um, who else?
what
Crawford.
was it?
Crawford.
Crawford, yeah, and he had it in 35 pounds, and then in 40 pounds, that was the first one he grabbed. And Parker. So Parker, you know. So that's interesting. And I heard stories that
It's
Arum is co-CEO at WBO.
what? How can I? Well, it's the Warren Boxing Organization. That's what I heard it was.
Was it? Because I heard that it was Arum. And it would make sense since most of his fighters have WBO belts.
Well, between him and Frank Warren, I don't know, but they're both WBO specialists.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Because usually these things cannot be hidden, you know, under the water for too long.
Lomachenko fighting a guy 2 weight divisions below him. Should he be ashamed of fighting a guy that's much smaller than himself, or should Rigondeaux be given praise for fighting a guy 2 weight divisions higher than himself?
There are two things about this fight. First of all, Rigondeaux taking this fight probably knows something or believes something that he thinks he can do. You know, that he can go 2 divisions up and say, well, that wasn't that bad, and then win. You know, because I don't think Rigondeaux is that YOLO guy. You know, who just jumps 2 division up and gambles. I think he has an idea in his head. It's not just a wild card. And Lomachenko, see, the other thing is when Lomachenko was at 126, Rigondeaux didn't want to fight him. they had, or at least so it's said, because whenever you listen to someone, they always have a different story. So the story that I heard is that they had an agreement, so they would fight at 126, and then when it came to payment, it was more or less settled. And then Rigondeaux started backtracking to 124, and then he started asking for more adjustments, and Bob Arum got pretty angry at him, and so did Lomachenko, because they spent, I guess, a lot of time making that fight happen. So that's one side of the story. The other side says that as soon as they felt like, uh, as soon as Bob Arum felt that Rigondeaux was in his pocket, he started like lowering his payment, and at some point it was just disrespectful towards Rigondeaux, so they didn't want to fight anymore.
Okay. So can Rigondeaux overcome the younger, stronger, bigger man?
It remains to be seen, because does his punch carry to 130 the same as it is in 122? And is his speed going to be the same? Because Lomachenko doesn't lose anything coming at 130, but remains to be seen what's going to change in Rigondeaux.
I'd like to know how much. First of all, I'd like to know how much Rigondeaux generally walks around at. I'd like to know who the heaviest guy Rigondeaux has been sparring with, and with somebody who's got that sort of footwork and movement. I mean, speed and reflexes are key, but at his age, he must be slowing down.
Yep.
And he's been dropped a few times before.
Yeah, and the other thing, don't forget, he is a smoker. I don't know how his cardio is working out for him.
Yeah, he's all right. He's okay. Remember, Zaragoza, the guy that fought McCulloch and was a reigning world champion, he used to smoke 40 fags a day.
Is that the guy who would walk out in the ring with a cigarette in his mouth?
No, that's what's his name? That's Mayorga.
Ah, that's Mayorga, yeah.
No, this guy's worse than Mayorga. This guy's 40 cigarettes a day. He bragged about it.
That's high weight cancer.
Well, I don't know where he is today, but yeah, he was a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, well, at least we should hope for Rigondeaux, being healthy, because I don't want to.
Okay, if Rigondeaux beat Lomachenko, what would happen? I mean, in terms of it's an HBO fight, isn't he?
No, it's ESPN. All top rank fights are now on ESPN.
So yeah, they were talking about him being pound for pound the best fighter in the world's greatest fighter. Talking all that stuff. Max Kellerman was talking all that crap about him being the greatest fighter in the world and pound for pound #1. And well, I don't know where they got that from.
What happens is all the tables turn, but at the same time, Rigondeaux is not staying at 130. I think Boxing Cubano, I was listening to Bowland, Truth and Facts About Boxing, and he got a guy who's just following all the boxing stars,
Okay.
kind of like me from Cuban Reality.
Okay.
So he's saying that Rigondeaux will not stay at 130 regardless, wins or loses. He might try himself at 126, and returning to 122 is not an option because WBA already has given him a middle finger.
Okay.
So it seems like he will try himself at 126 and challenge whoever. It may give some people courage because he's already been beaten by Lomachenko. If he goes after a loss, and they're like, okay, I'll do that. Or they will have an excuse not to fight him because, oh, Lomachenko beat you, and like, who are you?
But if he beats Lomachenko, look what happens then.
Nothing happens. No one's gonna fight him because Lomachenko already has trouble getting opponents in the ring with him. Okay, so far, what was his last 3 opponents? 2 of them were top rank.
So this is, without a shadow of a doubt, Lomachenko's biggest fight.
Yeah.
But for Rigondeaux, that's not his biggest fight, is it?
Why not? I mean, in the challenge, it is.
Yeah, in the challenge because of the size, bigger. But in terms of marketability, a name, didn't he? Nonita Nair was his biggest name, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, he won against Nonito Donaire, and I think Bob Arum doesn't like that much. So after that, he was um, quite unwelcome in Bob Arum's eyes. But see, whatever he does, he kind of loses regardless. Because if he wins, nobody's gonna fight him. That's solid, because that's straight up losing his belt. Like if he melts down to 126, who's gonna fight him? Leo Santa Cruz? Maybe nobody.
Okay. Well, have we got any other news?
No, so far not. We'll see. I think in January there will be semifinals in World Boxing Series.
Yes.
And December, of course, will answer the questions about Lomachenko and Bedvedkin and whatsoever. In a week, Kovalev will fight, and I think Bitter Beef is fighting on the same. Oh no, Bitter Beef is fighting this weekend. Kovalev is fighting November 25.
Okay.
So yeah, so in November we'll understand who gets what in light heavyweight division. Cruiserweights will be figured out in more like January, and yeah, I think the next one we should do is probably end of January, because that will like have a lot for us to talk about.
Okay. Maybe we'll come back before then. We can get an Eastern European Fighter of the Year.
Yeah, or maybe before the end of the year, kind of summarize it after all the fights with Lomachenko and the rest of the guys.
Unless there's some breaking news you've got to share with us.
I don't think Vitaly Klitschko returns.
You don't think he returns?
No.
Why?
Well, he's 45, I think. I just don't think that we're gonna see him back in the ring. It's not something he would want to do. Well, actually, no. He said that he's still training, like a couple times a week. But see, when he returns, who is he gonna fight, and who is he gonna be? It's not gonna be Vitaly Klitschko who fought Corey Sanders, for example.
Yeah, he wants to fight Joshua. He said he'll come back just for Joshua.
That's quite interesting, though. Well, first of all, he needs to get ranked, and you know what's funny? He doesn't need to get ranked by WBC because he's emeritus or something like that champion. Yes. So if he wants to return, the quickest way to get through rankings is to challenge WBC champion. So either Joshua will have a WBC belt by then, or Joshua will be exposed by Wilder or something like that. Because Wilder, see, he has an equalizer. He lands that hand, and you don't want anything in your life anymore. You know, the way Stevern was talking about like taking that right hand and it didn't hurt in the first fight, I think he was just not land clean, Not this time. He was pretty stationary, and Wilder was landing what he wanted, and it was pretty bad.
And on that note, I think we shall say good night. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Eugene, as always, thank you so much for your insight, and we appreciate all the stuff from the Eastern European news that you do. You do a fantastic job. Thank you once again.
Thank you, and have a good night.
I will do. You take care. All the best.
Bye.
Bye. So there you have it, Eugene. Doing an excellent job once again for our Eastern European boxing news. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this. One more video to do. I think it's Adonis Stevenson versus Badu Jack. I'll be back in a moment.